When testifying in front of senators and representatives, the most common cited issue by people against right to repair is security, often cybersecurity. Here, you have someone who is an expert in the field of cybersecurity testifying in front of all of the senators and representatives, ready, willing, and able to answer all of their questions.
Thank you, Chairman Feeney and Chan, Vice Chairs Welsh and Livingstone, and members of the Joint Committee. My name is Paul Roberts. I'm a resident of Belmont, Massachusetts, and a lifelong resident of the state. I'm the founder of SecureRepairs.org, which is a not-for-profit group of more than 150 cybersecurity experts who support the creation of new consumer protection laws enshrining a digital right to repair. I speak to you today to voice my support for Senate Bill 107 and House Bill 218, an act relative to the digital right to repair, and also to answer any questions you might have, particularly in regard to cybersecurity risk and the Internet of Things. Let me start by thanking all of you for scheduling today's hearing and for making time available for this important issue to have a proper airing. You've shown through your actions that you take the proposed digital right to repair legislation seriously and wish to hear all sides before making a decision. I thank you all for that and for the opportunity to speak today. I'd like to say that you're hearing both arguments for and against the digital right to repair. At the risk of oversimplifying, I'd like to say that most of the arguments you're hearing against this are not substantive, and most of the arguments you're hearing for it are. I'm going to talk specifically just about the cybersecurity issues that have been raised by a number of the opponents of this bill, and the suggestion that should we grant a digital right to repair to owners and independent repair professionals, that somehow we're inviting some kind of cyber apocalypse in which connected devices are going to be vulnerable to hacking and data theft. I've been writing about cybersecurity for 17 years. I started covering cybersecurity as a journalist in 2002. And what I'll say is that the worst case scenario that the manufacturers and their representatives are warning you about is more or less already upon us. We already have a huge problem with insecure connected devices in our environment. As an example of this, I will point to the 2016 Mirai botnet attack that took out a New Hampshire company called Dyn, and by extension, Dyn's customers, who included Twitter, Amazon.com, and major retailers. That was a botnet that consisted of compromised webcams, digital video recorders, broadband routers, and a variety of other IoT devices. Now, note, we have a major botnet attack, and there have been many more since then of Internet of Things devices, but we have no digital right to repair. That should suggest to you that any link between cybersecurity problems with the Internet of Things and digital right to repair are not substantive. We already have a problem. The source of that botnet, Mirai, was not cyber criminals reading schematics, and it was not cyber criminals using diagnostic software for webcams, DVRs, and the like. It was poor quality embedded software on devices that are already deployed out in homes, businesses, and other environments. The cyber criminals simply used default administrative passwords to hack into those devices, take control of them, and use them to launch an attack. So I would say to you that this is already a problem. And in essence, what OEMs are saying is that they want to keep their software protected from prying eyes. That's probably not surprising. A audit by the group, the Cyber Independent Test Lab, of some 6,000 firmware versions, software, so this is firmware as the software that runs on embedded devices, going back 15 years from 2003 to 2018, found that during that time there was no improvement in the security of that embedded device software over 15 years. Security through obscurity is not a thing. Keeping the workings of software and devices secret does not keep them more secure. In fact, hackers, cyber criminals are very resourceful. They're also very determined. One of the many benefits of a digital right to repair, opening up the devices to maintenance and service from independent repair shops as well as owners, is to make them more accessible, understandable, and in some ways to hold OEMs and manufacturers to account for the quality of their software. So I thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, either about what I said or about what some of the other industry representatives said.
Given that security is the #1 cited issue when it comes to digital right to repair, you'd imagine that if there's a bill about digital right to repair and there's an expert in cybersecurity sitting in front of you that said this,
I speak to you today also to answer any questions you might have.
you'd imagine this would be the time for legislators that may not be fully up on cybersecurity, the same way that I'm not fully up on cybersecurity, to ask some questions about the opposition's arguments, maybe fact-check some of them, get a rebuttal to any of them.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions?
Let's see what kind of questions they ask to help educate themselves on this matter as they prepare to vote on a bill that is going to shape the very definition of private property and repair in this country for the next century.
There being none, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Next up,
Need I say more? Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you learned something.
My name is Lisa McCabe, and I'm with CTIA, the Trade Association
I'll try not
for the
to
Wireless
repeat.
Industry.
I think
proprietary, legal ramifications, dangerous security, there are dangers, privacy.
pro-innovation,
This bill, these bills, and
I encourage the committee to think thoughtfully about this.
Thank you very much for your time. Any questions?